Well, welcome and thank you for joining me. Hopefully all is well. We'll see if we can get a vertical live stream to show up in the shorts feed. I've had some success lately. Today I'm using the YouTube app. I tried the other day with Streamlabs and it actually worked, so I'm excited. I think YouTube is pushing it out, and as one may have predicted, they're starting to open up the situation to other platforms. I tried the other day with Streamlabs and it actually worked. My echo out of here. Scratch and PPA, thanks for being here. P&J's and Just Jason Keto and more. Thank you for being here. Glad I got that on video. Thought the window was cleaner. I literally wiped it a little bit. I got no glass cleaner on me or anything like that. I didn't think of it. I haven't done it, I guess, in too long. I'm gonna have to do that before Monday. I might do another one of these. I expect to go out tomorrow for Niagara Falls to walk around. We'll see what things are like there. I think the weather's not supposed to be too bad. And then I'll go again on Monday. And then Monday night, I'll be heading back to Toronto, so I'll do another drive if that works out. But thank you, everybody, for being here. Anybody watching, please don't forget to give the thumbs up. Those really help. And if you're happening to be watching and not in the chat, I hope you'll say hello. We have a lot of friendly faces here in the chat already. Or a few, anyway. I did, and thank you for the notifications, by the way, setting those up. This guy racing. I had said that I spent a while, I used to be a DJ, and I was in the States for a lot of that time. So it started with a lot of high school and college type parties, and then we ended up renting nightclubs. And it was great for a long while. Everything we touched turned to gold. And it's so long ago now, for the life of me, I can't remember the years, if it was 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. The exchange rate was the same as it was here. So, $800 US would turn into $12.50 Canadian. As an example. And then, I started running my own parties and stuff like that, and it went really, really well. Lisa J. Stocks, good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming in. Been a long time since I've been to Buffalo now, but lots of friends still from there on Facebook and everything else. A lot of the promoters that used to help bring the audience and things like that. So one of the things I'm hoping to test, I'm sure this is going to show up in the shorts feed. There's almost no reason for it not to, especially now if things like Streamlabs are going to work, and probably Prism and every other app, then certainly the YouTube app itself should work. The only reason why somebody might want to not think about using the YouTube app ever for live streaming is because it doesn't have the extra features. People like to put their certain interactions on the screen and things like that. And Streamlabs and Prism and those make it easier. I think I've only ever used Prism once. I don't even remember if I actually used it and completed a stream. I'm going to have to try it to see. Streamlabs is what I use all the time. I like it. But thanks everybody for hanging out. Yeah, I didn't expect the window to look so awful. It's not that it's what I would say seeming all that dirty. I'm gonna have to get some glass cleaner out and really give this thing a serious cleaning. I'm assuming the lens on the phone is clean enough and okay. I always wipe the lens on the phone. I believe I never forget to do that before starting to film anything. and that's an iPhone 12 mini that I'm using right now. I was gonna break out the Samsung S24, and I didn't realize I meant to swap the SIM card out, and I never did. But I'll think about doing that before the end of the weekend too. I want to use the Samsung maybe tomorrow while I'm walking around Niagara Falls. So we're actually in the west end of Toronto. I'm on the 401, I'm on the 427 now. So I'm heading south. We're at the west edge of Toronto. The 401, which I just came off, is a highway that I just learned the other day at its widest point can be 22 lanes if you count the exits. It's often 16 lanes across. Might be the widest in the world if that post was right. I tend not to believe anything these days, but you never know. And then for anybody with a YouTube channel, feel free to drop your link there. Just type that exclamation link. Donut Toys and Games, good to see you in the house. That's a longtime friend also. Pardon me. Still getting over a cough. It turned out I never felt sick at all, but I had lost my voice. It's still not 100% back, and the cough lingers forever, but it turned out I had pneumonia. And even though it didn't stop me from working or anything else, you know, I had to stay away from everybody and all that. That's just the right thing to do. But yeah, it was no joke. Like in my lungs, I had to have an x-ray and all this stuff. I never heard back, so I'm sure everything was fine, but still coughing here and there. I'm going to see what I can do about hopefully getting a better stand too, or a holder for the phone here. I have the GoPro now. I haven't upgraded a GoPro in many, many years. I bought the 5 right when the 7 and 8 were coming out, but I got a 12 now. I haven't opened it. I got to do an unboxing and all that, but once I get that open, I might try that as well. Of course, the smooth, you know, hyper smooth video or whatever they call it is great on those. But this, I used to have a better stand, and I don't know what happened to it now. And this one here is just quite shaky, I guess. I don't know how bad it is in the video, but I'll watch a minute of it back later and see. I have to do something about that. The trouble with a lot of these things that we get is we don't know until we see somebody who's got one, and then we say, oh, what are you using? And then we know what kind of things are going to work really well, if that makes sense. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Got about an hour and a half drive. It might be a little bit shorter than that. But when I get to Niagara Falls, even for myself, I often drive almost always through the touristy area. The falls are always something nice to see. It really is like a breathtaking sight, let's just say. But I won't go often through there during the day on like Saturday and Sunday driving. You know, it's quite slow, lots of traffic and everything else. But in the middle of the night, even on Friday or Saturday, by the time we get around to midnight or later, it's easy enough to go through. It's not too dangerous for pedestrians and things like that if everybody's careful. But the falls have a beautiful light show, and it's a vibrant area. So Niagara Falls is a wonderful place to live as well as visit. I love both these cities. I was born, raised, and grew up in Toronto. We're in the next city over now called Mississauga. Crochet and crochet and knit around New Zealand. Good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming in. Pardon me. And if the rumor is right about these live streams now, the vertical live streams, then if YouTube's doing a good job of ripping off the TikTok and Instagram algorithms, the idea is that when you do these, the audience should build as time goes on, similar to Twitch. Twitch has always been like that. They even suggest, like, don't try to do an hour stream over there. You got to be like on for 3 or 4 hours to give people time to get in. Whereas YouTube's the opposite. We usually have our audience, and most of us who live stream know you get the bulk of your audience in the first few minutes, and it often drops off for most people, most of the time. Marketplace Boutique, good to see you in the house. Mike Fammy, good to see you in the house. Yeah, Jeff is, he says he's streamed out. Some of you know that I run a few other channels. One of those, the creator is on vacation right now in Thailand, so he's 12 hours off of us. It's noon for him right now. He's probably still asleep, to be honest with you. But he would stream while he's there. He likes the nightlife, so he'd be doing that in Pattaya and Phuket. But he also does a couple of other types of streams and things like that. So he did 2 in a row, I think, pretty close. I think he only slept for a few hours, 5 or 6 hours, got up, did another stream. For those of you who do these kind of streams, you know that it can be draining. That's why I cut off on the other channel there after 3 hours. It's as much as anybody, much as I could talk straight for 3 hours. These we don't have to talk so much. I'm gonna try to take it easy here. Scratch and PPA, yes, happy birthday 4 minutes ago. Scratch and PPA's birthday right now. I hope everybody will wish him a happy birthday. Thank you especially that much more for being here, especially when it's your birthday. I'm not gonna stream on the other channel tomorrow, but hopefully everybody will head to Scratch and PPA's channel and wish him a happy birthday with a comment or something as well. And FJT, good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming in. Is it actually your birthday, FJT? Happy birthday then. Thanks everybody for hanging out, for the thumbs up and the conversation in the chat. I'm hoping starting immediately I'm going to start doing more activity on this channel. I got a video tomorrow. I bought another pair of speakers, not expensive ones, but one of my best performing videos on the channel is a review of some speakers, and my girlfriend just gave them to me as a gift. I forget if it was Christmas or a birthday or something like that. We've been together 8 years now. But that video did extremely well. So of course, if I'm going to buy another pair of speakers, I'm going to buy from the same company so I can do an unboxing and review. These ones are computer speakers, but I love the sound of the speakers that I already have, so they're great. I don't use like heavy volume or anything like that, so it doesn't matter. But I got a video coming tomorrow. I hope to go down to the touristy area of Niagara Falls right after the video, so at noon Eastern, 12 hours from now. And then I'll try to get back out on Monday. I should be able to with no problem. And we'll see how that goes. And then maybe I'll do another drive stream on the way back here on Monday night. But I hope to get out at least a couple of times a week to do outdoor live streaming. That was why I got the GoPro now, is literally for that reason. Same as the Samsung and everything else. I'm trying to bring myself to be motivated. Not to mention I need some exercise. Most of you know that already, but it's a good excuse. I have a hard time only doing one thing at a time. I always think everything's a waste if I'm not doing more than one thing. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's absolutely true. But if I know I can go for, let's say, a walk for an hour or two, but be streaming at the same time, then it makes it that much more worth it. Hence the drive stream today. And then, yeah, so driving streams, like, you know, these are never going to get, like, I wouldn't expect them to get a ton of replays and things like that. It's not quality content for the most part, unless somebody was specifically doing a road trip or anything. But it certainly is a great excuse to try the vertical live idea and see if we're going to have any luck with that. By the way, forgive me if anybody's mentioned it in the chat. I haven't caught it. But does anybody see if this happens to be showing up in the shorts feed? I can't imagine it wouldn't, even though I put a custom thumbnail on it, and it looks like we got 17 watching now. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Andy Heinrich, good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming in. And we're just heading towards Niagara Falls. Probably going to be a little over an hour before we get there, but I will drive through the beautiful Niagara Falls touristy area. There won't be very many people out or anybody at all. It's out of season, but the light show always goes on. I think it's until 2 a.m. if I remember right. So we'll be there in plenty of time, and you'll see it's really a beautiful thing to see. And then tomorrow I'll get a better look. We'll go in the daytime. And it's Scratch and PPA's birthday, by the way, in the chat. If anybody's watching and not chatting, I hope you'll come in and say hi. We got a lot of friendly faces and longtime friends in the chat right now. But yeah, and for anybody that drives, Jason was just saying, but for anybody that does long drives, it could be a consideration. There's a few things to think about, obviously, but we can. So the way that I happen to be streaming, I have two phones with two plans, and that's because we outdoor live stream. They don't have to be expensive, and I constantly change my plans. I'm changing like every couple of months because they have new promotions, they have new, like, you know, data upgrades and promotions and things like that. But I turn the data right down, and the whole plan, sometimes I drop it right down to like 15 bucks a month if I think I'm not going to really use it, and then pump it back up if I need it, if I'm going to do something like a series of live streams. What I also find, because I only tend to stream in 720 or 1080, 720 most often, is I go through about 1.5 gigs of data per hour. So you're able to calculate how much data you have in your plan, especially in Canada. We don't have unlimited plans and things, not really. You can gauge how many streams you can do if you're going to do that. The other thing too is it's really helpful when you're live streaming to have an extra device to read the chat from, especially somebody with my vision. My vision deteriorates as I get older. Most of you know I wear glasses. Even with glasses, I can't often see the phone in front of me well enough while I'm trying to film. So having an extra phone beside me in zoom mode with bigger text makes it that much easier. Not to mention when you have other people who come into the stream, like stream sniping you or hanging out and those adventures. Good to see you in the house. Thank you for coming in. And thanks everybody again for watching. We're just going through Mississauga right now. We'll soon be in Oakville, the next city over. We're on our way towards Niagara Falls, of course, where I happen to live now. I was born, raised, grew up, and continue to work in Toronto. But Niagara Falls is a beautiful city. Most of you know it. It's known as the honeymoon capital of the world. Forgive me for anything I'm missing in the chat, by the way. Try to catch what I can. So yeah, I was so happy to find that the phones have this zoom mode to them, right? So you don't have to, even though they have like incredible resolutions and 4K and all this, you don't have to use it. So I've had my phone for years in like big text, bold text mode, So I like that. As a matter of fact, if I remember right, I don't remember if it's the Samsung 24 or the Amazon tablet, but I feel like it was the Amazon tablet, where the very first screen when you start to set the thing up offers you the chance to have bigger text, which I think is great because you don't have to wrestle with it to try to get into the settings and all that. Yeah, I have done many horizontal, even driving streams as well, or landscape driving streams. But this is because YouTube's added the new features to the vertical, if we want to call them features. Like, for instance, you see 17 people possibly watching right now. It keeps going up and down. So there'll be 16, 17, it'll drop back to 9 or 10, it'll go back up. But typically that's more viewers than I would expect to have on a stream like this after being inactive for so long as well. So the idea is we might be able to grow. I had this hope that I was going to hit 10,000 subscribers long before March 26th, because that is Purple Day. It's a globally recognized day in support of epilepsy or awareness. And my girlfriend, Kristen Welton, runs a nonprofit organization called Epilepsy Niagara that helps people and families living with and affected by epilepsy. So when you get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you unlock a feature called YouTube Giving. What that is for fundraising, where you can set up a video or a stream, and any super chats or super stickers that come in during that stream go directly to that nonprofit charity, and it's not a taxable event to the creator. So I think it's a wonderful thing. It's an opportunity for anybody to be able to put out some kind of helpful piece of content, both either entertaining or informative, that can forever after be a fundraising effort for a nonprofit organization. So I was hoping to unlock it by March 26th this year, but I think we're a little bit late. But that's why I'm racing to get through a bunch of streams, is if there's a chance, why not? You know what I mean? It's still 10 days away or whatever it is. I don't know how long it takes the feature to unlock, and I'm only 200 away right now. I've been sitting at about that much. I got so close. I think I got to, I forget if it was 99, 70 or something like that. And it slid back down because a lot of the subscribers here, more than 6,000, came from politically charged events, like the Freedom Convoy that was world news a few years ago. I went to Ottawa to capture a lot of that, and I brought in a ton of new viewers and subscribers and everything else. But for anybody that is, let's say, a news chaser, they're not going to watch videos of me opening vinyl records or driving to Niagara Falls or anything else, because they're on to the next news story, right? They're just ideas, not saying I'm right, but you know what I mean. So thank you again, everybody, for hanging out. Hopefully the picture's not as terrible as I think it is, but before I do another one of these, I'll make an effort to get the window clean. I didn't think it was, I thought it was cleaner than it is. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody in the chat, but thank you everybody for being here again. So this is Burlington now. We've already passed Oakville, so we're making good time. I'm just following the flow of traffic. I tend not to speed or anything like that. I usually have cruise control on, actually. Last time I got a ticket was somewhat recently, but that was because I was going down one of the hills, not really watching well enough, and I didn't have the cruise control on, which is rare. It got me on the other side of a bridge. We're going to pass it in probably 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less. It's called the Burlington Skyway. It is a monstrous bridge. Where we are, you really don't have any separation between cities. So when we go from Toronto to Mississauga to Oakville to Burlington, there's no like stopping in farmland or forestry or anything like that. You almost, if it wasn't for the signs, wouldn't be able to tell when you're entering one city and leaving another. They literally blend in. Jason's over here all the time, I guess. Jason he only lives about 2 hours away from me, wherever I am, but he travels around the same areas, working and this and that, if I understand right. In Toronto Marketplace Boutique or Niagara Falls? I thought I saw something from you that said Niagara Falls. Am I mistaken? Oh, Jason does a lot of work around here. Both Toronto and Niagara Falls, yeah. You know, it's absolutely true. When I first moved to Niagara Falls officially, I actually lived there for one summer many years ago. But right around the same time I was doing the stuff in the States, because as a DJ I had, for lack of a better term, an agent. And he always wanted to be close to the border. He literally positioned himself there. And I went and hung out with him for a summer. It was so convenient to be right beside the border, so we could get up and cross or whatever we're gonna do. But between both cities, there's a million things to do. But when I first moved to Niagara Falls, when I went to go and get a haircut, I had to find somebody around there that would do it. And when I got to find somebody, one of the first conversations was that they had grown up in Niagara Falls. There's nothing to do. Like, are you kidding? There's a million things to do. It's like a tourist bucket list destination. Not everybody in the world is going to care to go to Niagara Falls, but a good percentage of people who think about travel think about the fact that they want to get to Niagara Falls. So there's everything to do. A million restaurants, more hotels than anybody could imagine. Like I said, the honeymoon capital of the world. And still to this day, pardon me, my voice is still cracking. Still to this day, the hotels, at least in the off season and especially on weekdays, are cheaper than anywhere else that I can imagine. And they have promotions down there as well. They've got something called Sleep Cheap, and I think it happens around November, if I'm not mistaken. I can't for the life of me remember accurately. But what it is a promotion for, I guess, local residents more than anything else, to get hotels that otherwise might be upwards of $200 or $300 a night for like $60. 70, 80, or whatever it is, hot tub rooms and everything else. And they give the money to charity. So the hotels donate the room, people stay, and the money that they pay for the rooms gets donated to charities, which I think is a cool idea. So we try to go at least once every year when it comes around. Kristen remembers much more about that. She's been in Niagara Falls her whole adult life. I've only been there for 7-ish years now. Yeah, lots of great restaurants. We have a couple of our favorite places, but the independent restaurants do spectacularly down there. Oh, thank you, Scratch and PPA. It did show up in the shorts feed. I figured it must have, because we are getting the small jumps of viewers, but thank you everybody for watching, by the way. If you're not in the chat yet, I hope you'll subscribe and come in the chat. We got lots of friendly faces here and longtime friends. Yeah, they got outlets in Niagara Falls, and because there's so much competition, even with Buffalo and this and that, you can get like inexpensive shoes. You know, they got shoe outlets and a lot of other clothing and other things. Lots of shopping, and the city's growing. Niagara Falls is about to explode in population. This is that bridge I was talking about. This is called the Burlington Skyway. The city we're leaving is Burlington, and we're about to go into Hamilton, which is also known, I think they have an international airport, if I'm right, that is a steel town. So it's been an important part of our history for a long time. When we're driving like this, I can't give you like great views of anything. Sometimes there's ships out there and everything. Industrial ships, if that's what we call them. And thank you for the reminders. Yeah, thank you for those thumbs up, everybody. They really do help, by the way. Thanks to everybody watching. So that's Hamilton that we're looking at now. This is where I got that ticket last time. So, you know, I'm going to make extra effort to make sure I'm not sliding above the flow of traffic here. Yeah, I love nightlife. I mean, I'm much out of that stuff now. I spent my the early part of my adult life in nightclubs and bars and restaurants working and this and that. I always am attracted to anything nightlife, anything like lights and stuff like that. Like, you know, I hope to eventually, in the not too distant future, to eventually make it to Vegas. You know, my friends my whole life have told me I shouldn't go because I'll never come back. But things like that I find spectacular. I can go to a casino and literally stand there around slot machines and games and everything else for 4 hours and not play if I don't feel like it. So I tend not to get too drawn in when it comes to casinos. But I play for fun. You know, if you're going to spend $50 at a casino, it's the same $50 you would have spent at the movies, is the way I look at it, or something like that. And I haven't had any real success. Over a lifetime, of course, for any time I've spent in casinos, I'd be down. Kristen and I had a good win once. I actually, when I have done a small amount of traveling, especially when I was DJing in the northeastern United States, I made it to a few casinos. Obviously Seneca in Niagara on the US side, but also Mohegan Sun was when I went to a couple of times, in Foxwoods in Connecticut, which, if I understand right, is actually the world's biggest casino. I think it's 4 or 5 casinos all in one, or something like that. And they got one of the poker rooms there that they use for the World Poker Tour and everything. So I played a single table 9 or 10 person tournament. I think I was the first one out, actually. But I just wanted the experience of saying that I'd played at Foxwoods. I like to go to the casinos to eat, to be honest with you. Some of them have fantastic restaurants. Mike doesn't go. Whenever I play, I always play super cheap anyway. I played a lot of roulette, but those machines, because you could just do red or black and put $20 in, it's only $1 a bet. It lasts me like 2 hours. I'll never win big because I won't bet big. My mother used to say when I was growing up as a joke, we'll never have to worry about Kevin smoking because he'll never spend the money. So I don't like to think of myself as cheap, but some of the things that really start to draw a lot of money out of the pockets, I'm lucky enough to not get involved in. Although I do like electronic devices, apparently. Oh, thank you so much for coming in, Matt. And yeah, for anybody watching that's not in the chat, I hope you'll say hello. We've got a few longtime friends here. See how many cranes are in the area also. You know, there's construction happening all the time. It's as if there's no limit on it. Now, it would be probably popular opinion that we need it. But my goodness, is there ever construction happening everywhere all the time? We have got a housing crisis like I don't imagine anybody could have ever figured. I don't know how everybody didn't see this coming. That's what I don't understand. Not to get too political, but you know, when we talk about the idea of inflation and housing shortages and stuff like that, how did the developers not see this coming 20 or 30 or 40 years ago and get in position to solve the problem? There's so much money to be made. We're literally talking millions and now billions of dollars. But you know, I'm not an expert in that area. Low roller. I've never heard that term. I'm gonna steal that for sure. Yeah, I am purely a low roller, yes. Oh, for sure they are. Casinos are absolutely, you know, even slot machines and stuff. Of course, I'm no expert. I have wished for a long time if I can get back into making mobile games on the phones. I had wished to make not gambling apps, but like a free-to-play, advertiser-supported slot machine type game and stuff like that, right? But you know, I can't imagine that there's any game in a casino in the world that's not set at you know, 51% or higher house odds. So even though they got to run tons and tons and tons of money through the place, even their 1, 2, 5, or 10% that they end up with at the end of the day is so much money. It pays for everything and much, much more. I find the bit with the housing crisis a little bit embarrassing, to be honest with you, because I am interested in finance or personal finance, entrepreneurship, small business, things like this. And when houses in Toronto went from 500,000 to 800,000, I didn't see that. I don't even remember where the change happened. All of a sudden, the prices just exploded. And, you know, we're talking houses that are 1,200 square feet that are $1 million now because of the land. And I have to admit, I was taken completely by surprise. So I don't know what to think. But then again, you know, I don't want to preach doom and gloom. It is still very possible to get into real estate. One of the things I fear for the generation after mine, you know, my kids and anybody their age and this and that, is you can still find real estate. It doesn't have to be $1 million. It doesn't have to be an $800,000 shoebox condo. And of course, I'm talking Canadian dollars right now. So here's an example. I look at real estate listings occasionally. It's like window shopping, right? And you can buy an apartment that's been converted. So when a developer has built an apartment building, they've run it for 20, 30, 40, or 50 years, and then they decide to turn it into condos, you can usually tell because the balconies used to have metal railings, and then they changed them for glass, or you know, plexiglass or Gorilla Glass or whatever this stuff is. And when they convert these condos, now they chop them up and they sell them to everybody. So you can still buy a spacious 3-bedroom apartment in Toronto for $500,000, or at least that's the asking prices in Toronto. In Etobicoke, which is on the left side of Toronto, where I'm always drawn to. But throughout Toronto, there's these converted. They are much more spacious than brand new condos that are coming out at 400 square feet or 500 square feet, where you can't put a TV in the place because your couch is facing the oven, kind of thing. And I'm not exaggerating. But there is absolutely still hope. I also don't know what's going on with this new situation. They've closed down the first-time home buyers incentive, which I find to be a very scary idea, unless they've already replaced it with something that I'm unaware of. So they came out with a new type of savings account, but that doesn't have anything to do with the incentive that was made a long time ago. We used to be able to have, if you're a first-time home buyer, and you have to actually be, apparently, but if you are, you only need a 5% down payment, up to a certain amount or something like that. But now they've wiped out that program. So I'm afraid that for a lot of people to get into any kind of property, you're going to get back into needing, you know, at least 10%, if not 20. But I could be very mistaken. Again, I'm no authority when it comes to the idea of real estate, even in Toronto. I window shop, and that's as far as I've gotten. But what I am trying to say is that there is hope. You know, not everything is $1 million, and 500,000 is not, in my opinion, that difficult to carry if you have a couple people with full-time incomes, even at averages or slightly below. Because a mortgage on a $500,000 property, if you're able somehow to put $100,000 down, you're only going to owe $400, and you should be paying $2,000 a month or less, slightly less, for that mortgage. And I could be wrong, but you get the idea. Yes, many people will say that the Canadian and American government are bringing in a lot of voters. Yeah, this is, yes, Stony Creek, Grimsby area. Right south of Hamilton. As soon as you get out of Hamilton, that was the major part of it anyway, or the most prominent part. They're building all those condos there and everything. There's a lot of $1 million homes over there. But $1 million home in that area compared to half an hour ago when we were in Toronto is monstrous. You can get a 5-bedroom house out here with a 3-car garage and everything like that. Way too much space for me, to be honest with you. So this is one thing that I've noticed as well. And I don't know if it's life beating me up, you know, and all that stuff. You get older and you start to dream lower. Because I used to think I want a 5,000 square foot house, or 3 of them or whatever, you know, and Porsches and Lamborghinis and everything. But that was when I was 20. right? So I don't know how unrealistic that is. Now, one of the things I've heard from generations older than me is, well, it's nice that they have a house that's 3,000 or 4,000 square feet, but as they get older and become empty nesters, who wants to clean the place? It becomes a full-time job for one person just to do the dusting. Now, that may sound ridiculous, but it's not unreasonable. Back home to Ohio, I did a party in Dayton that didn't turn out any kind of a crowd once, actually. But I've been through Ohio a few times. Columbus and Toledo and all that. Yeah, Dayton we did at the end of my stint when I was doing the DJing around the northeastern United States. And everything we touched turned to gold for about 2.5 years. Packing nightclubs, literally, we'd have promoters saying, where did all these people come from? And it was glorious for a brief period. And then it all started to fall apart right at the same time as the exchange rate changed and got back to a little more even. So I don't know if there's any correlation there, but we did a party in Dayton and nobody showed up. I don't even think we had 10 people show up to a nightclub out there. I don't even remember what it's called now. Honk Tube, good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, see, it's a thought. Like, you know, Kristen's daughter's off to university this year. My son and nephew and niece are all grown. Like, I talk about this all the time. You know what I looked at the other day just for fun? So Drake obviously is Canadian, and he built a monstrous, I think it's 50,000 square foot house in Toronto. And if you look it up and you look at the pictures of it, it's like unbelievably spectacular, of course. You know, and obviously Drake can afford a full-time staff to look after the place and this and that. But it's funny to look at some of this and see how just outlandish it can be. But when you talk about, you know, everyday life or averages and things like that, you know, anything in between 1,000 square foot home, which, you know, in a lot of people's opinions might be small, towards a 3, 4, or 5,000 square foot home. I think 5,000 is quite elaborate. Definitely more than, but that's just my opinion. But boy, is there a difference. And I joke about the idea with Drake with his 50,000 square foot mansion. And I'm like, yeah, but when he watches television, which is probably not often, but when he does, he's still only sitting 6 or 8 feet away from the television on a couch. So how much of that 50,000 square foot, or in anybody's case, 2,000, 3,000, or 4,000 square feet, do you need around you if you're going to watch TV or work on a computer or do whatever you're going to do? But, you know, that's just me being silly. That's not realistic. I'm sure any of us would like to win the lottery and double up or triple up, but well, I hope yeah, well, I don't know. I can't say I hope really anything. I mean, I never wish for anybody to get hurt, you know, in any way financially and everything else. Yeah, if people end up underwater in their homes, that's going to be unfortunate. We know that kind of thing must happen all the time. All markets go up and down a little bit. As for a crash in any market, doesn't matter if it's stocks, precious metals, oil, real estate, or anything else, I think a lot of times the idea of a crash is mentioned, but a crash doesn't actually bring prices back down to lower than they were before a bubble. Let's just say. Not saying I'm right, but you know, if a house that used to be worth $600,000 goes up to $800,000, when a crash comes, I don't believe it's going back to even 600 or certainly lower than that. I think it might go back down to 650 or 7. And then we get another bubble and another mini crash and things like that. But again, I'm no expert. It's just, nonsense. I like talking about this stuff, but it's all talk. The Bobcat, yeah, I'm expecting. So we'll see. I'm hoping we get some serious work this year, because it has not been a good couple of years. Oh, Johnny Strides. Yeah, Matt. Johnny Strides is somebody that I have to say is an acquaintance of mine for now. He knows Jeff from Travel Fund 69. I run Jeff's channels for him for the most part. He's got 4 now. I run 3 of them. One he just handles himself, and obviously when he's streaming, he's just doing it. But like producing videos and planning things, and thumbnails and marketing and all that stuff. I do. But Johnny Strides was somebody that we became aware of. If I understand the story right, and I hope to talk to him about it one day, he started his channel right around the beginning of the pandemic. This guy went out and did a video and a live stream every day, every single day, and now has topped 100,000 subscribers. He's got his play button and everything else. Jesse Miller Unboxing, some more. Good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. And thank you especially, everybody. I know it's quite late for most of us. I haven't been doing much activity lately on the channel, but, for a long time I've mentioned my Fridays I keep a pretty full plate. But I'm headed to Niagara right now because essentially on Saturday it doesn't matter what time I wake up. If I sleep in, it doesn't matter. Bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom, yep. Yeah, I expect always that prices will never go back to where they were whenever they move. Except up in general. I'll give you my, pardon me. I should have took it easy on talking today. I'll give you my inflation speech. And this I've been talking about my children's whole lives. So they're grown now, but this has been going on forever. This is what I said. My mother, when she was a young teenager, old enough to, let's say, go to the movies by yourself, right? Pop, chips, or a chocolate bar were 5 cents. We know that because we still see the advertisements and the history and stuff like that. We know that that's true. One generation later, or am I saying this right? Yes, one generation later, when I was a young teenager, just barely old enough to go to the movies by myself, pop chips and a chocolate bar were 25 cents. The reason why I know that and remember so clearly is there was a promotion that was done with a potato chip company called Hostess. I think it was called Hostess. And what they did was they put stickers, like stickers that you put on things, of popular rock bands in the chip bags as a little like prize or bonus or whatever you want to call it. And we would collect them. You buy another bag of chips, you're trying to get the Platinum Blonde sticker, and you get the next bag of chips, you get a Honeymoon Sweet sticker or something like that. Anyway, once I got a bag of chips that did not have stickers in it, and the chips actually had the price 25 cents on them. And I believe the reason why is because they didn't want the stores to jack the prices to 27 cents or 30 cents or whatever it was going to be when they were intended to sell for 25 cents. This is true 100%, and easily we can look up the history. That's one generation later. My son's generation, when he was a young teenager, barely old enough to go to the movies by himself, how much do you think pop chips or a chocolate bar were worth? $1.25. That's absolutely true. it's not too distant history. We can go back and look, yes, more than $1, but about $1.25, and I'm talking Canadian dollars, of course, right? When you think about it now, my son is at an age that, let's say, between 10 and 15 years from now, he would be able to have a child at an age that would be barely old enough to go to the movies by themselves. My prediction then, because in every generation, the price seems to go up by 5 times, is that pop chips or a chocolate bar, somewhere between 12, 13, and 15 years from now, will be $5. Now, anybody even listening to this right this second might say, you're crazy, that's ridiculous. But I promise you, if you go into a gas station right now, you probably can't even find a can of pop. You have to get a bottle now, so we'll give that, as benefit of the doubt. But a bag of chips, a chocolate bar, is about $3.25 to $3.50 already. So I don't think it's outlandish. Now, the government and everybody else can say that inflation grows at 3% or 2.9% or 6% or whatever ridiculous lies they want to tell us. But we who go to the store and buy these things know that, yes, milk, bread, and eggs do not raise as fast as everything else. But more like novelty items, and some of the nonsense I'm sure we'll all agree we've wasted our money on in our lifetime, go up in ridiculous amounts, 5 times per generation. Can you imagine, what would that be, 30 years from now, paying $25 for a chocolate bar or a bag of chips? Because that's where we would be headed if I was right. Somewhere thereabouts, maybe 40 years, but you know what I mean. So I love giving that speech. And then thank you, Jay. Yeah, so Jason is working on that. What he's talking about is obviously the idea of going back over some videos. You can always go back and change your thumbnails, change your titles, your tags, hashtags, and descriptions to give new life to older videos. My recommendation is always to spend the time on the superstars if you have to make a choice. So if somebody's got 200 videos on their channel, it might be too much to go through all of them. Then I would say start with the most popular ones, or the ones who were popular that are no longer growing, and try to push them farther. Because a 10% increase on a video with 1,000 views is another 100 views. A 10% increase on a video with 100 views is only 10 more views. So that's just an idea, but you get what I mean. Not saying I'm right. We all have to do what we think is right for our channels. But in almost every case in life, that's where I would spend the time. I would have an easier time trying to push my best performing video to 100,000 views than trying to get one that's never going to move because I want it to. The other thing too is we're always surprised. I have always been surprised by which videos were the ones that did well, and some of the ones I think that are supposed to do well do not get nearly the traction I expect. And that's with some experience now. I've been in social media forever, and YouTube for 6.5 years now. I learned that lesson Mike Fammy about duty at a very young age. So I told everybody here I was a DJ. And in my opinion, I was, let's say, good or better than average, right? But that's just opinion. But my music knowledge is outstanding. Absolutely, for sure, I can say that. But my interest in music started, I believe, around 11 years old. I think that's when my parents bought me my first cassette tape player and a tape to go with it for my birthday. And shortly after that, I bought my first 12-inch single record, and that began. But I always have been just enthralled with music, and my music knowledge was always great, in my opinion. So even as a young DJ, I was less terrible than I should have been. At times I was terrible, and I got stories about that too. But I started by DJing, like, of course, house parties like most people do, but barely at all. And then I worked in a bowling alley as one of my first full-time jobs. My first permanent full-time job at 16, while I was still going to school, was working in a bowling alley. And for whatever reason, a couple of the people who were running the bowling leagues gave me the chance to DJ their bowling banquets. Now, it could have just been because I was cheap. I didn't know what to charge anyway, so it'd be like a few $100s and whatever. But I ordered a bunch of records from the United States. And because I was working so much at such a young age, I was never smart with money at that time, but I had a lot of money because I was working all the time. I would work full-time to pay for my music, and then part-time. I've almost never in my life had less than one job, or if that makes sense. I've always had 2 or more jobs. So anyway, I ordered what I believe was at the time, and this is 1990-ish, 1988, 89, 90, I ordered $450 worth of 7-inch records from the United States, from this company that had incredible stuff. I might have got some CDs from them too, I forget. And I remember getting a call from the border, and they said, yeah, we're calling because you got to pay $75 in duty. And regardless of the fact that I'd already spent hundreds of dollars at 17 or 18 years old buying these records and music, $75 is still a lot of extra money to pay for anything. Even today, I'd have a heart attack knowing that I had to pay $75 in duty for anything. But anyway, I learned my lesson very quick, because the choice is, do you have a problem and not actually get these records and hope the company gives you the money back? Because fat chance of that, right? Especially in a different country. Or do you just pay the duty and say it was a very expensive lesson, but I'm glad I learned it today. It could have been worse. And so I was very lucky to have learned that at a very young age. So I have known. And then there's tricks you can play. So there are companies that will bring mail over from the United States. So what you can do is, let's say you wanted to order 4 or 5 different things, whether they're from the same company or different companies or whatever. You can have a company open everything. Not open it completely, but let's say like open it out of its packaging, the shipping packaging, and then put them all together in one. And then, I mean, if you got friends that know what they're doing, you might be able to play further games and stuff. I don't want to encourage it, but you know what I'm saying. And then you could probably get away. So I had some records that I ordered just a couple of years ago, and the company's one of those monthly subscription services. And a smart person on their side in the US would value the records at like $1 and just say they're promotional or whatever, you know, or value them at $5 or whatever. But one time I ordered a box of 3 records and they valued them at $60. And it's like, okay, even in truth, we know that you guys did not pay $20 for each of those records or anywhere close to it. We know that you're making a monster profit on what I'm agreeing to buy, but you got me at the border now having to pay duty to somebody who has nothing to do with any of this. You should be marking them as the price that I paid for them, not what you want to value them as. So if I paid $50 for a box of records and they value it at $60, now I'm stuck paying the duty on $60 when I only actually paid $50 for something. Then you got to decide, okay, how much money did I just lose? $2 or $3? Not enough to spend an hour on the phone trying to fight with the border over, right? Not saying I'm right, but you know what I mean. Forgive me, I think I'm screaming at the camera again. But yeah, duty is something else. Canada has a few things. I don't want to complain all day, but you know, we got a couple things like cell phones, flights, and postage where we just get murdered on. So if I want to send something to Scratch and PPA or Just Jason Keto and more, who are in the same province as me, it's going to cost me upwards of $12. I think it's almost impossible to ship anything for less than $10 now. And for anywhere farther, it's like $20. $20? to ship something. Now, tell me how you can go on eBay or another online platform and buy a keychain for 99 cents from China, where the same Canadian Postal Service driver brings it to your house. How's that possible? So there's some kind of really weird stuff going on there. Frank Frenzy, good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming back in. Yeah, our shipping is unreal. We don't have media mail, by the way. Our American friends have something called media mail. It applies to CDs, magazines, books, and records. If I'm right, I forget what else. But they can send those things at an incredible discount. So if I want to send a record to somebody, if I want to send a record to Jason 2 hours away from me, it's probably going to cost me $12 to $15, if not at least $10. But in the States, you can send that same record for $2 or $3, if I understand right, because of media mail. It's just some kind of a law and thing that they had forever. And wow, would that ever serve me well. This is why I don't do any more records. Some of you have seen, you know, I still buy records to this day, but I've really calmed it down. But I've started doing a few record videos. I've done at least 10 of them, I think, where I've, you know, you can't listen to them because of copyright, but I've opened them and, you know, we look at the records and the things that come inside and everything else. But you can't do it, not because the records themselves are expensive. I don't even want to start about that because they're ridiculous. But when you think about like all the taxes and shipping and duty and everything, you're like, wow, some of these records start to become $75 a record. You know, Taylor Swift, I don't even remember which album it is, whatever the black and white looking cover one. I've got a couple of other ones. I got the Red album and the Speak Now one or whatever it is. But there's another one that came out, and I think it was 55 Canadian dollars. So if somebody said, no, I really love Taylor Swift, I want to have it, I wouldn't blame them. Hey, that's great, right? But the taxes, the duty, the shipping turn that record very easily into upwards of $70. Now you're like, wow, $300 for 4 records? It's getting a little bit out of my pay grade. And forgive me, I know not everybody in the chat's going to be interested in vinyl records. I just happen to like them. I still have all my records from when I was a DJ. I've spent much more money storing them than I ever spent buying them. £15 package for $9.50. That'd be unheard of here. Unheard of. Here, I can only imagine in Canadian dollars that'd be $30-40. A lot of times, actually, on the eBay store that I help run, we have to cancel orders because the shipping turns out more expensive than it would have been because we listed the item, let's say 3 years ago. We got a lot of like dead stock, right? Like, so what my friend will do is go to an auction and buy out a locker, right? Then we take all the stuff listed on eBay and sell it. Sometimes you find new things, right? Brand new in box, sealed, everything else. But the problem is if it sits there and doesn't move for 3 years, like for instance, if somebody needs a part for a piece of plumbing equipment or a specific breaker switch that goes with a specific breaker box in an electrical panel, because we literally have some of that stuff. It could sit there for years, but then when somebody buys it, it pays. But we've got like winches, generators, you know, and things that have been sold, tools, power tools and things, sinks. Bathroom sinks are something that he's got a bunch of. And those things, you can't even think about sending them for less than $60. Not to mention half of them end up smashed anyway. So nobody wins. The person gets a broken sink, we just get the money back and it's a waste of time. But that's true. I use Shippo, by the way. I don't know if we have pirate ship in Canada, but I've been using Shippo and I find it to be helpful. Even when I do things that are manual, like not just eBay, but like when I send packages, my son asked me one day, he's like, what do you use for shipping? And I said, I use Shippo, and he had to send something, I think, to Florida. And he was like, oh God, it's like half. These platforms can be great because they use, if I understand right, the power of all of us buying. So we're in Niagara Falls now, and we're just about to get to the actual Niagara Falls. Tomorrow I expect to go out and do a walk around live stream. And for those of you who already seen it, I have another channel that's got a bunch of copyright-free music, which I own all the rights to and everything like that. Everybody can use it as copyright-free music in their videos and live streams and things like that. But I have a virtual 24-hour live stream going over there with a virtual nightclub, and there's a little video game going. Everybody can participate in the chat, and we do link drops and stuff like that. But people trickle in and out of there at different times. But right after this live stream, it should roll right in there. But I hope everybody will check that out if you haven't already. I don't want to bother moderators with dropping links and stuff, but if somebody doesn't mind dropping the link for that, I'll appreciate it. I'll try to pin it. But over towards the American, there's the duty-free store. Hard Rock Cafe over here. So we go from right into the big touristy area right away. But like I said, we're out of season. It's not warm out right now, so there won't be a ton of people out. If that link didn't work, if somebody wants to just, if I can ask somebody to just drop another one, there it is, and I'll pin that. Thank you. Michael's Adventures. And then if anybody wants to go over there, I'll appreciate it greatly, of course. And like I said, it's a virtual 24-hour live stream. The reason why I say virtual is because I break it every 12 hours, 11 hours and 48 minutes, just so that it will retain the watch hours. Any live stream under 12 hours retains all the watch time. Gotta be extra careful here because people are walking around all the time. So how much you'll be able to see of the actual falls, I'm not sure. But it is a spectacular sight. The lights are going and everything else. Have Cheetah Will View, good to see you in the house. Get an idea. There's the Skylon Tower. There's a restaurant up there. I talk about it often. Lots of hotels. You can imagine the views there in a lot of those hotels. Looking at the falls. Try something here so maybe I can give you a tiny bit of a view. You can see the mist, how high it flies in the air too. It literally, depending on which way the wind is blowing, it can feel like it's drenching rain. I got lots of streams and videos on my channel of the Niagara Falls as well, if anybody wants to have a look at those. And like I said, I'll try to get out here tomorrow. I expect to be out here at noon right after I'll drop a premiere, a video, and then I'll roll right into, if I can, a live stream, and I'll just come and walk up and down here. I could use some exercise, of course. The weather shouldn't be too terrible. Marketplace Boutique, you stayed at the Marriott. Kristen and I stayed in one of these, and I can't remember which one it was. For the life of me, we both have videos. We have shorts of it, and I can't remember because we've lived here 8 years now. And like I said, we take advantage of some of the offers that come up, like and the hotels send residents offers and things like that. I'm sure they send everybody offers, but you know what I mean. So we've stayed in hotels many times, and so much so that I can't remember for the life of me which ones. Groovy, yeah, good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming in. That's Oilers Fan Forever with a channel they're working on right now. Let me just be extra careful going by our friends here. Oh, this is a ride program, maybe. Either they got somebody pulled over or it's oh yeah, they got somebody pulled over. We have this thing called a ride program. It's usually out at Christmas or holidays, where what they do is they'll position themselves usually at highway on-ramps or off-ramps in areas where there are popular bars and restaurants and things, and trying to catch people who might be under influence. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I'm going to, that's all I got to show anybody for today. Fastest tour through Niagara Falls you've ever seen. And then tomorrow I'll get out to have a walk around. Like I said, hopefully the weather will play along, but I think it's supposed to. Almost no winter this year. And then hopefully everybody will join us on that. If you want to click that link on the music channel, that'll run all night. And like I said, people trickle in and out of there, but everybody can connect with each other and keep the conversation going, and I'll appreciate it. So thank you everybody for coming in again. Thank you to the moderators for helping out. And I look forward to seeing everybody again soon. Thanks everyone.